Hi folks, Matt Easton here of Schola Gladiatoria in conjunction with Sharp Blades. My buddies at Sharp Blades have recently made a new mace, a flanged mace. What is a mace, I hear you cry? It is a percussive weapon of the medieval period, and the style of mace that they've made is essentially a kind of, we'll say, 13th century, 14th century style of flanged mace. The flanges are the plates that radiate from the central socket. The mace itself is a very ancient weapon. Obviously it goes all the way back to prehistory and starts out essentially with the club, and then it develops into stone-headed tomahawk-like weapons and early stone-headed maces that we see in antiquity and prehistory, and we see in early Babylonian and Egyptian representations and surviving examples. In fact, we find both metal-headed maces and stone-headed maces, and sometimes the mace was a symbol of power and authority, and it was made out of precious materials also. And going into the Middle Ages, obviously during the Viking era, for example, there wasn't an enormous amount of armour worn. It was usually just a mail shirt and a helmet. But as armour became more prevalent, percussive weapons like axes, maces and warhammers started to become more popular. So if we get towards the later Viking period, we see that axes start to become very popular, and if we look at the Bayeux Tapestry, for example, which dates to about 1070, the Battle of Hastings being in 1066 of course, then we can see that there are maces present at the Battle of Hastings according to the Bayeux Tapestry. So the mace by that point had become an important weapon because of course many soldiers were now wearing head to foot mail with good quality helmets, and prior to that not that many soldiers had been able to afford or been able to be equipped with a lot of armour. So as we go into the 12th and 13th century and we're getting even better armoured soldiers and more soldiers with good armour, these percussive weapons become very, very important, and we see the development of a certain type of mace, as we're going to see in a minute, the flanged mace. And the flanged mace is really about concentrating force into the target, maximising damage to the target, and reducing the chances that the weapon is going to skim off or bounce off the target. So it's really about biting into the target and concentrating force onto what you want to damage. The example made by Sharp Blades here has a blade of 14260 spring steel, sorry, a head rather than a blade actually, or various blades, flanges in fact, made of carbon spring steel, and the shaft, the handle, is made of European beech wood. So why don't we have a look and see what this mace can do? Cheers guys!